Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. According to historical records, in 1367, Ming Taizu Zhu Yuanzhang captured Pingjiang, leading to the defeat and suicide of Zhang Shicheng. From then on, there was no force in the south that could rival Zhu Yuanzhang, who prepared for a northern expedition to march on the Yuan capital, unifying the country. Zhu Yuanzhang's plan was to first conquer the defensive regions of the Yuan dynasty, Shandong, before launching a northern campaign to facilitate his actions. He intended to capture Hunan next, cutting off the Yuan's rear support and advancing towards Tongguan, seizing the Yuan's strategic stronghold, directly targeting the Yuan capital. At that time, the Yuan army was isolated and weak, making it quite possible for Zhu Yuanzhang to achieve victory without a fight. From this northern campaign plan, it is evident that Zhu Yuanzhang was not only adept in warfare but also possessed excellent governance skills. His handling of the first challenge he faced upon entering the passes was a testament to his wisdom. When Zhu Yuanzhang's forces launched their assault, Yuan Shun Emperor and his generals fled north, leaving behind 100,000 Mongolian women. Faced with this group of foreigners, which included many nobles as well as commoners, there were various proposals among the officials. Some suggested killing all the captured Mongolian women to avenge their Han compatriots, others proposed degrading them to the lowest status of slaves to let the Mongolians experience the taste of servitude, yet others suggested granting these captured Mongolian women as concubines to the meritorious soldiers. Upon learning of this situation, Zhu Yuanzhang pondered deeply before making an unexpected decision. Next, let's take a look at his choice. According to relevant historians, the Yuan dynasty, the first unified dynasty established by a minority group in Chinese history, lasted only 98 years. Beginning in 1206, when Genghis Khan established the Mongol regime, Mongolia became a symbol of formidable military strength. In 1227, the Mongols destroyed the western Xia. In 1234, they defeated the Jin, and in 1253, they subdued Tibet and destroyed Dali. Thus, from Genghis Khan to the three Khans of Ogedai, Gayuk, and Monk, the Mongols had eradicated all regional powers in China except for the southern Song, demonstrating their extraordinary military capability. In April 1260, Kublai Khan, the founding emperor of the Yuan dynasty, succeeded to the Khanate with the support of the southern princes, establishing his capital in Kaiping, in present-day Inner Mongolia. He adopted the era name Zhongtong, marking an important symbol of the Yuan's adoption of Han practices, and it was Kublai's first step toward transforming Mongolia according to the feudal systems of the Central Plains. In the second year of his reign, Kublai Khan began attacking surrounding foreign powers, unifying the northern and central regions that same year. In November 1271, the Yuan finally made significant progress against the southern Song. At this point, Kublai Khan decided to abandon the old title of the Mongol Empire and, based on Central Plains tradition and the Great is the Qian Yuan phrase from the I Ching, renamed the dynasty Great Yuan. This move symbolized that the Mongol regime had transitioned from a regional power to a national feudal regime that absorbed Han traditional governance, marking the eventual establishment of joint rule between the Mongolian and Han classes. In 1279, the Yuan dynasty completely eradicated the southern Song in the naval battle of Yashan, finally achieving national unification. However, the Mongols at that time were still an uncivilized and uneducated people. Although the rulers initially implemented a series of Sinicization measures, their inherent sense of ethnic superiority led to discriminatory and oppressive policies against the Han people, naturally stirring national outrage and accelerating the downfall of the Yuan dynasty. The hierarchical classification of the population by the Mongolian rulers illustrates the discrimination against Han people during that era. The four levels are Mongols, Simu people, Han people, and Southerners, with Mongols occupying the highest rank and Southerners the lowest. It is important to note that Han people here does not refer specifically to Han ethnic group members, but rather to the Khitan, Goryeo, and Jiaqing peoples. The true Han people are referred to as Southerners, meaning those from the Southern Song dynasty. The Southerners had no political status or legal power. Instead, they were generally treated as slaves by the so-called upper-class individuals. This highlights the long-standing resentment among the populace. At the end of the Yuan dynasty, various regions saw uprisings. Zhu Yuanzhang, who would become the next ruler, was among those rebels, gradually building his power until he finally marched into the Yuan capital, Dadu, with ambitions to claim the throne. The Yuan Shundi fled north in a panic, leaving behind over 100,000 Mongolian women in Dadu. Due to the oppressive rule towards the end of the Yuan dynasty, public outrage was significant. Many of Zhu Yuanzhang's ministers advised him to kill all the foreign women to relieve the people's anger. Others suggested making them slaves to experience the taste of servitude. Ultimately, the sentiment expressed was one of not allowing them to live comfortably. However, unexpectedly, Zhu Yuanzhang did not intend to put them to death or make them slaves. Instead, he decided to release them. The ministers were puzzled at first, but once they understood his intentions, they all agreed and expressed deep respect for his decision. Of course, Zhu Yuanzhang did not release them unconditionally. He set two conditions for those who wished to leave. First, anyone could leave, but those who stayed had to adopt Han surnames, wear Han clothing, and learn Han culture. Second, any remaining women who wished to marry had to choose Han men, and they needed to abandon the negative customs and mindset of their Mongolian heritage. This approach shows Zhu Yuanzhang's strategy of winning over the Mongolian women through kindness. On one hand, he demonstrated the compassion of an emperor, on the other, it was a necessary measure in the early days of nation-building. Some historians have commented that, first, the Ming dynasty's power had just been established, and the oppressive rule of the late Yuan dynasty had instilled a fear of authority among the people. If there were widespread killings, even of foreign women, it could cause public unrest, undermining the stability of the new regime. Second, the national uprisings against the Yuan forces had brought suffering to the people, as many households experienced the pain of losing loved ones. Retaining the Mongolian women for intermarriage with Han men could help increase the population and restore productivity, serving as a means of recuperation. Moreover, at this time, the Yuan rulers were merely in retreat, their regime had not been entirely destroyed. A large-scale massacre of Mongolians could incite ethnic hatred and provoke a desperate battle against the still insecure Ming dynasty, resulting in heavy losses even if victory seemed likely. Additionally, allowing the willing Mongolian women to return served as a signal of benevolent governance to the Mongolians, indicating that the Ming dynasty would be tolerant as long as they behaved themselves. Furthermore, intermarriage between the remaining Mongolian women and Han men could gradually eliminate the deep-seated ethnic hatred. In the short term, it would benefit the stability of the regime. In the long term, it would contribute to the nation's lasting peace. Thus, Zhu Yuanzhang's handling of the situation regarding the 100,000 Mongolian women demonstrated significant foresight and political strategy. Ultimately, the establishment and stabilization of a regime rely on the support of the people. Historically, many tyrants have failed because they disregarded public will and opposed the people. Zhu Yuanzhang's benevolent approach towards the Mongolian women exemplifies the Confucian principle of governance through benevolence, serving as a typical example of how a ruler can build a regime and win the hearts of the people. Through such strategies, Zhu Yuanzhang not only strengthened his ruling foundation but also successfully garnered broader public support, laying a solid groundwork for the stability of the Ming dynasty. In summary, winning the hearts of the people remains the key to a lasting regime. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.